Hello and welcome to the Motorcycle Report. My name's Ryan, and if you're like me, you want to know all there is to know about the past, present, and future of the motorcycle world. Today's report's going to be a review of the movie The Flying Dutchman. This will be a part one of a two-part review of the movie because I've got a lot to talk about. If you search the term The Flying Dutchman, Wikipedia will tell you that, quote, "The Flying Dutchman is a legendary ghost ship that can never make port and is doomed to sail the oceans forever. The oldest version has been dated to the late 18th century. Sightings in the 19th and 20th centuries reported the ship to be glowing with ghostly light. If hailed by another ship, the crew of the Flying Dutchman will try to send messages to land or to people long dead. In ocean lore, the sight of this phantom ship is a portent of doom." Unquote. Would be a really spooky story with lots of lore to chew on if this report was called the Spooky Ships from the Sea Report. But since this is the Motorcycle Report instead, things are going to go a little differently. I really enjoy watching documentary films. I've even made one myself. They bring us clear views of real life, adventure, and drama in the comfort of our own homes. A documentary about a motorcycle story called The Flying Dutchman popped up while I was looking through my Amazon Prime Video listings the other night, so I decided to take a look. For this review, I visited the movie website, and the synopsis reads like this. Quote, "John's got a dream and a plan to make that dream become reality. For the next 2 weeks, he's going to leave his normal life behind and embark on his own idealized version of the American road trip on an experimental motorcycle. Schedules have been cleared, the route planned, and essentials packed. Now he just needs to convince his salty, longtime friend Daryl to ride in the sidecar of the motorcycle on a 3,000-mile journey to the Pacific Northwest. Afflicted with a progressing eye condition that will eventually leave him blind, Daryl has harbored his own wish to take such a trip and is convinced to go. Over the years, Daryl has helped John to get through some tough times and the trip to give back and give Daryl a lasting experience that he can treasure when his sight completely fades. With John anticipating an opportunity for the two of them to grow closer, the unlikely pair hits the road expecting fun and adventure at every turn. Shortly into the trip, the prototype motorcycle starts shedding parts, and it becomes clear the trip John imagined isn't going to happen. When one of the wheels of the sidecar falls off, the pair is left stranded, without transportation as the hopes of finishing the trip begin to fade. At times poignant, funny, and bittersweet, the story unfolds as the two friends try to forge ahead and reach the coast. Meeting characters at every stop, butting heads on just about anything, John and Daryl find a deeper understanding of life and friendship in this truthful journey of expectations and life." Unquote. Alright, so it sounded great to me. Now let's talk about it. But first I want you to know that this is a spoiler review. If you've come this far and you don't want me to go on and tell you about different things in the movie, if you want to see it for yourself without me telling you all about it first, please do yourself a favor and skip this report. And then, after you've watched the movie, you can come back and listen to the rest of it if you'd like. Thanks. Well, the movie starts with a very nice tracking shot from a very small shack in farming country that John and Daryl are staying at along their journey. It's morning and John is bringing out the last of the gear. The moment leaves you wondering what has just happened and what will happen next as John walks out to where Daryl is sitting in the Janus Motorcycles sidecar. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, cool, I didn't know that Janus made sidecars. On the side of the sidecar, near the rider, in clean cursive are the words, "The Flying Dutchman." And then I saw the motorcycle and thought, oh, wait a minute. That's not a Janus motorcycle. It's too big. And it looks like it came from the 80s. But I didn't have much more thought about this, as the tracking shot was so beautiful that I just wanted to enjoy that and watch the two men ride off into the day and to find out what was going to happen next. Next up, John, who the movie has told us is 43 years of age, stops by Daryl's house to see if Daryl, who's much older, wants to go on this journey with him. From the very beginning of their meeting and on into the movie, I was asking myself, how did these guys ever get along? And how are they still friends? And I guess as the movie moved along, I decided it was just the acid-base test, where sometimes two people who have completely different personalities and don't seem to get along actually need each other so that they might share opposing views in life with each other and ultimately be at peace about it. Life's lessons learned from the opposing perspective. At Daryl's house, we see that he has adopted children of different ethnic backgrounds. 3 of his grown children show up during recording. 1, the daughter, is of Asian descent, 1 is African American, and 1 is possibly Spanish. Daryl is decidedly of Dutch descent, with his light skin and white hair. His wife is the same. Daryl is a reserved man of good moral character, and he's going blind. On the other hand, John, I imagine, has been the life of many a party and seems just beyond the reckless years of youth. His nature is responsible, but on the goofy fun side of life. He also has fair skin and light hair, similar to Daryl, but his hair hasn't turned from light brown to gray yet. John lost his own father at a young age, and for many years, Daryl has been something of a surrogate, though they've never lived under the same roof. So on the adventure they go. Now I just want to say, wow, Janus makes beautiful motorcycles. And I know I'm right. There's no question. I knew of Janus before I watched the movie. And the first time I set eyes on their motorcycles, I knew that one day I wanted to get one for myself. Someday. Yeah. But as I watched John in conversation with the gentleman at Janus, and as they were talking about building and attaching a custom-made sidecar to one of their motorcycles, I immediately thought that this is not a good idea, folks. Why? Well, Janus, being a small company, only makes 3 models of motorcycle. The Halcyon, the Griffin, and the Phoenix. All appear in classic styling. The Phoenix looks similar to an old-style cafe racer, the Griffin an old-style scrambler, and the Halcyon an old-style standard. I'm going to make a guess and say that it was a Halcyon model used in the movie. But it wouldn't have mattered which of the 3 models they used. I still would have thought it was a poor choice. The reason's simple. All 3 models have the same 229cc engine, and all 3 models have a top speed of 70 miles per hour. What that tells me is that those bikes are simply not made to handle a sidecar, 2 grown men, and even the smallest amount of luggage. Well, sure, they stayed on local state highways, but 3,000 miles at reasonable speed, and with that much weight, is a big ask for such an elegant bike. To me, Janus is eye candy to look at around town and on quiet, peaceful country roads by yourself, or with other Janus riders, or with other motorcycle riders. This was not the case here, and both John and Daryl paid for their decision. Watching such a pretty bike getting so stressed out, so to speak, was cringeworthy. So what 1980s motorcycle did they find to attach the Flying Dutchman sidecar to in order to complete the majority of their trip? What did Janus have to say about the use of their motorcycles and equipment in the movie? I'll tell you about these things and more next time. Please join me for part 2 of the Flying Dutchman motorcycle documentary movie review. That ends this report. If you enjoyed this video and would like to hear more, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon.